All right, we're going to be looking at the differences between the reMarkable 2 and the PenStar eNote. These are both black and white only e-ink screen devices. They both have their own ways of being kind of distraction free, with this having its pen only input, no touch input, and with the reMarkable 2 having a much more focused and closed down operating system and ecosystem here. But which one's actually better for you? Well, let's find out. We're going to put both the pens to the side for now, and I'm also going to put the cover to the side. Let's just look at the physical design of these devices. So there's actually a good amount of similarities between both of these designs. Like, they both have mostly this grayish off-white border around it, with then a dark gray strip on the side. They also both have their USB-C port on the bottom side there on that same strip, and their power button on the top of that same strip. Now from the back, you kind of get that same design repeated with the reMarkable 2, where the back of the PenStar looks a little bit more plain here. I believe this is also a frosted glass back here. I thought it was aluminum, but someone said that theirs shattered, so I'm assuming it's actually a glass, just like the reMarkable 2 here. And these borders are more of like a rubber durable plastic that has a contour to it, so it appears thinner at the edges than it actually is, which does make the device feel a lot thinner. But the reMarkable 2 is the king of thinness at just being 4.7 millimeters and rounded edges. It feels like a piece of paper in your hand practically. And as I'm sure you saw, the PenStar has all these buttons on the side here, and that's again because it has a pen-only input. So that's another way you can interact with the device besides using your fingers on the screen. Let's take a quick look at the weight of these devices as well. So the PenStar eNote is 394 grams. The reMarkable 2 is actually 398 grams. So yeah, the PenStar eNote is actually lighter than the reMarkable 2, even though the reMarkable 2 seems like it's less tablet, but I think it's because there's more aluminum and glass on the reMarkable, where they take use of some of the plastic on the borders and stuff like that, which reduces the weight with the PenStar here. But 394 versus 398 is barely a difference, so not something that you should worry too much about between either of these devices. Here are both the Styluses together as well, and I think they're both pretty good for their own devices. They both use the same kind of Wacom stylus nibs. They both have button erasers on the back here. The PenStar has a clip, which I do think is nice for certain things. The reMarkable has this flat edge for magnetizing onto the device. The PenStar has the ability to store extra nibs inside the stylus itself, thanks to this compartment hidden within. It also has a button on the pen for more shortcuts. But if I had to give the feel and quality to one of these styluses, I would say the reMarkable definitely wins that. And in build quality overall, reMarkable does feel a little bit better. I don't know of many, if any, e-ink companies that actually beat it in build quality. An important note with these styluses though, is that yes, this takes basically the same kinds of nibs as the Wacom standard does, but it is not compatible with Wacom styluses. Like if I take the reMarkable stylus and try to write on the PenStar, it will not work. Take the PenStar stylus and try to write on the reMarkable, it won't work either. This is exclusive technology to the PenStar eNote. It is not using the Wacom standard. The screen size is actually identical between the two of them. Basically just a difference on how they put the borders. So this one has a much thicker border on this side here, where they have a bigger chin on the bottom of the reMarkable. I actually prefer this more because you kind of grab on this side already, so you have somewhere to put your hand, and that's fine. And then having more even bezels all around on these sides, to me, just looks a little bit better. The pixels per inch is just slightly better on the PenStar eNote here. I believe it is 227 versus 226 on the reMarkable 2. So yeah, it is better, but I can't really see better quality between the two of them. I think they're pretty comparable. So again, not a reason to choose one over the other. Let's talk about the main event with both of these here, the actual writing and drawing experience. So yeah, I think both of these have good writing feel and sound. They're actually really similar. They must use pretty similar films on the screen. I think the biggest difference is that the PenStar's nib is a bit more plastic, whereas the reMarkable 2 is definitely more graphite-like and wears away more like a pencil. So this feels a bit more like a pen, this feels a bit more like a pencil. However, as you can hopefully see here, the top one is the reMarkable nib. The bottom one is the PenStar eNote nib. So they are pretty much identical. So I believe you could interchange these. Let's find out. So this is the PenStar eNote's plastic nib with the reMarkable 2. And this definitely feels much slicker. And then if you take the reMarkable tip on the PenStar, it feels very similar to reMarkable. So if you really liked a certain Wacom stylus tip, you can definitely put it onto the PenStar eNote and it will work. Neither of these stylus tips are battery powered though, so that is nice. You'll never have to worry about charging them or anything like that. So the writing feel sound very, very comparable between the two of them. But I will say the PenStar seems to always be correcting itself. Like maybe some kind of anti-aliasing or something like that going on with the software. And it's kind of obvious. Where the reMarkable just kinda leaves it as is. Wow, my handwriting is just not looking good today. I don't know what it is. I promise I write neater than this normally. It's not coming out good. But I do think it looks better on the PenStar actually. So maybe some of that anti-aliasing is helping. But this is definitely a little less distracting while you're writing. So if that correcting that you saw on screen bothers you at all, you may want to consider the reMarkable 2 over the PenStar. So I will give the writing experience to the reMarkable 2, but just barely, just mainly for that one reason. And I think its latency might just be slightly better, but those are really the only things. And if you don't have them side by side, you probably won't notice it. So these have pretty comparable tools. I have a pencil, ballpoint pen, brush, regular pen, calligraphy pen, and a marker on the PenStar. And you can adjust the sizes for all of these and even colors for them as well. And these other colors won't show up on the device itself, but if you export it, they'll be in that color. You do have similar things like that on here where blue and red will never show up on the reMarkable 2, but when you export them, it will show in that, but you get a lot more color options on the PenStar, which is nice to have options. Yeah, you get a ballpoint pen, a fine liner pen, a highlighter, a pencil, mechanical pencil, calligraphy pen, marker, shader, and paintbrush. I actually think the mechanical pencil is the best writing tool on the reMarkable. I just think the way it writes compared to how the stylus feels just fits it really, really well. Where for me, I typically do the pen at 2 for the PenStar, and that fits it well. Okay. That's another thing with the PenStar. You never get accidental palm rejection problems, or your arm being on the screen will never trigger an action where you keep seeing that happen on the reMarkable here. That is a nice benefit of not having a capacitive touch layer. And then with the PenStar, you just get more software features here. You can actually record with your notes. So it has some speakers here and some microphones. So you can actually have some audio recordings and things like that with you. You can add pages to a table of contents. They both have handwriting recognition, but you can also customize the screensaver and the power off screen. And you have a true home screen with the PenStar here, where if you go out of this note, this is your home screen of the reMarkable. Now it's simple and it works, but there is something about this that is just really nice. And you can sideload apps. Like this is an app I sideloaded here, where you can't do that with the reMarkable. It's a very closed system as well. And like an app like this, where it's mostly just reading, it actually looks pretty good on this tablet, even with just being e-ink. And this app is not made for e-ink by any means. So it is great to have options like that. So yeah, because of customization and just more that options that you can do in the software, I'm going to give software to the PenStar here as a win. There is going to be some people who will like the distraction-free and super focused software of reMarkable, even if it's limiting. And for those people, great. Choose reMarkable, that's totally fine. I'm just going to give it to the PenStar here just because of the more features. And for storage of both these devices, this has a total capacity of 32 gigabytes and 2 gigs of RAM, where this has 8 gigabytes, which you can really only get access to 6.57 of them, and only 1 gigabyte of RAM. And I believe this is a quad-core processor, where this only is a dual-core processor as well. So processor-wise, this has more under the hood. And then when it comes to battery life, this has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery in it, which is why it is a thicker device. And it just lasts for ages. Especially on standby mode, it can last up to like 140 days or something like that. It's just nuts. This thing is a battery beast. The reMarkable 2 can last still like up to 1 to 2 weeks depending on usage. This can last over a month depending on usage. So that is pretty incredible. Honestly, for it being actually still lighter than the reMarkable and only a little thicker feeling, I think that is incredible. So processor, storage, and battery all go to the PenStar here. They both have Wi-Fi and they can connect to it and even do some transfers via Wi-Fi. For the reMarkable, it's only through their service, which is a little more limiting. And their file support is like PDFs and EPUB, and that's about it. Or their native file for notes. That's it. It's all the support you get for reMarkable, where this supports almost every file you can type you can imagine, and that's just because it's built on Android and that flexibility there. So that is nice to see. And I believe it also does support having a USB drive directly plugged into it, where the reMarkable does not support that either. And for reMarkable's cloud servers, it does cost something to use the majority of the features, which again is annoying where you don't get that cost here. But I will say their companion app is much more full featured, and you can actually edit the notes and things like that when you pay for it, versus the PenStar's companion app basically just lets you check what's in there, which does the job for most things, but it isn't as nice as reMarkable's option. So I'm going to say overall, the value is better with the PenStar eNote. You get the half folio cover, the stylus, more storage, more RAM, better processor, better battery, all for basically the same, if not less, sometimes when it's on sale versus the reMarkable 2. And this is just a tablet, and then you have to buy this separately. And if you want to buy a folio case separately, that's a whole nother expense. So as far as value, it's just not as good as the PenStar here. So that's really the conclusion. If you're looking for the best value out of these two devices, and the device that can do the most, I think the PenStar is the one for you. If you're looking for a super focused, super distraction-free device, and if it's a little bit less value for money, but if it makes you more focused and productive, so it's worth it, well, the reMarkable 2 is probably that one for you. I just personally don't think that distraction-free means stripped down to the bare bones. Like, the PenStar is still pretty distraction-free because I'm not going to want to be doing a whole bunch of web browsing on the e-ink display or be watching YouTube. That would be painful. But it can record in its notes, so you can have audio notes as well. It allows you to browse the web for a quick answer or researching something, and you can get side-loaded apps like the Bible app I put on there to do some other kind of reading that's through an app. So that's not more distractions to me, that's just more functionality. It just really depends on your perspective and what works for you. Anyway guys, I hope that was helpful in you determining which one of these two devices you want to go for yourself. And if you feel like anything was missing or you had any questions, let me know in the comments down below and I will be sure to answer those questions. I can even make a follow-up video if necessary. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the gear that I use in this video, it's all going to be linked in the description down below. And as always, have a great rest of your day.